Hello, and welcome to Pet Sitter Confessional. Today, we're brought to you by Time to Pet and the Peaceful Pet Music, Calm Music for Pets YouTube channel. Are you embracing technology in your business? As the years progress, our clients are looking for easier and more technologically advanced ways of solving problems that they encounter with their pets. Are we, as professional pet sitters, up for the challenge to not just use them, but embrace them and still shine our value on the visit by using the technology to make our lives easier when we're with them? Today, we're having a conversation with Beth Pasek, owner of Finicky Cat Sitting and Behavior, about the rapid change in technology in the pet care space, how we can adapt and use them, and how we can still educate our clients through every possible twist and turn. Let's get started.
When you're looking at all the way the industry is moving and going, I mean, it's changing so fast. Whether it's the cat sitting end of it or just pet sitting and dog walking in general, it's just moving really fast.
When you say that specifically, what are you thinking of?
I'm thinking of the technology that's out there. We're looking at the artificial intelligence, especially more so probably with the cats, because we now have the auto feeders that have the cameras in there that let, with the apps that hook up to the phones. We've got the litter robot with the app that hooks up to the client's phones.
Yeah.
We've gone from, when I started in the industry, leaving the handwritten notes and the client had no idea what you did when you were there, to having cameras in the house, watching your every move, to now they have, now I know when the food was delivered and I know when the litter box got emptied. Yeah. It wasn't, I just had a text message back and forth with one of my older clients. They just got 2 litter robots, and they're, asking me, do you know how to change the drawer on the bottom of the litter robot? I just saw your face like, what do you mean you change?
No, I know having to explain that and train people on changing that, because they don't think about that. They say, it magically disappears. Where does it disappear to? Right.
Or what do all the codes mean? What do the lights mean? What does it mean when, the client is telling you, the litter box is telling me there's an error message and you have to disassemble it and clean. Yeah. But these are all things that are happening in our world. Even one of the notifications I got through Fear Free is they are coming out with a device to train the dog, to literally train your dog.
Wow.
Wow. And I just, my feeling on that was like, okay, well, that's fine and dandy. But, I've done some dog training in the past, and owners have always said, the dog listens to you better than they listen to me. Well, is the dog going to listen to the artificial intelligence robot better than the owner?
Yeah.
Because there's a certain, when you're training, whether it's a dog or a cat, you're looking to build that relationship with the animal.
Yeah. And
now that dog is going to be building that relationship with the artificial intelligence.
Yeah. And that gets back to, I think, a fundamental question. I mean, Beth, do you think with these advances in technology, is it actually providing a higher level of care and quality of life for the pets, or is it just different and more convenient for the owners?
I think it's a little of both. It's a convenience for the owner, but it is providing a better quality of life for the pet, because there's more consistency and there's more of a prompt for the owner to do something.
Mm.
That prompt to say, hey, change the litter box. Hey.
That's a really great reminder. Like I'm thinking of just like even in our human lives, like we have a smart thermostat, and it reminds me to change the furnace filter every 3 months. When usually I would have gone like, I don't know, 8
a year. You would have gone until it was like, what's that funny smell in the house?
Right.
So there, to a certain extent, they provide prompts. To a certain extent, the robot makes our lives more convenient and easier. But from that regard, it is. I wrote a blog about it. Does my cat need artificial intelligence?
Yeah.
Do I need the AI? And one of the examples, even in that blog, was the owner was in Europe. They hooked up the automatic feeder. The cats kept unplugging the automatic feeder. They were getting a notification that the feeder was, died, basically, because they never put the batteries on the bottom of it to back it up. And I kind of, use that as my springboard to say, hey, this is why you need a pet sitter. This is why you need a cat sitter. And also, hello, cat sitters, we need to be more familiar with these devices.
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to be more familiar with the devices themselves. So there goes another layer of training on top of for an employee or a staff member. So does it make it more convenient for owners? Yeah, when they're set up right and they're working right. And how many times do we see that we get in somewhere and it's like, of course, the scoop-free litter box isn't working.
Yeah.
How do I fix it?
Yeah.
Or, what are those solutions that when the litter robot really does break down, now what? Are you prepared as the professional to bring in an actual spare litter box? Being, that the plan A didn't work. Do you have that plan B to take care of the client?
That gets put on us. That's the onus is on us now to know, not just know, okay, that they have a litter genie or litter robot, but what all the intricacies of it are. You mentioned all the codes, all the warnings, the maintenance, the repairs. And when plan A fails, we have to know, okay, now we need to step in. Now we need to do this. And it does put a lot on our plate because all of a sudden very overwhelming of, great, I'm not just a business owner. I'm not just a professional cat sitter and pet sitter. I'm a technologist now, right? I'm the IT department for this person's home. But that's what we do that, right? Yeah.
We do that. And that's where, it can be frustrating from our end that the owner's getting all these signals and these updates and whatever about these devices, and we're not. So we may not realize something's wrong unless the owner sends us that text message or that email and says, fix the robot. And and it comes across very harsh to us. And it's like, I didn't know it wasn't working right.
Yeah. Is that something that you would ever ask a client to give you those notifications, sign into the account or something?
Sometimes I think, if I'm not mistaken, those accounts can only carry 2 people on it. Okay. So it might be a husband, wife, or a boyfriend, girlfriend on the account. But they can go in and change it and update it and switch it around. But like I said, I mean, some people will do it, some people won't. And you still need to be prepared that, okay, there's 4 different versions of the litter robot.
Hold on. I'm finding some instruction manuals right now, Beth. You're making me anxious. Hold on.
You know what? I got a text message from my client, and I literally told her she's like, she asked me if I knew how to pull that drawer out and change the thing. And I'm like, well, yeah, I know how to do that. I says, but do me a favor, because you have the latest version of the litter robot. Leave me the manual on the counter.
Yeah.
Simple enough. So I walked in this morning, and she's got the little litter robot, what all the flashing lights mean and all that stuff actually taken out and taped up on the wall by the litter robots.
Oh, that's nice.
So I'm standing there looking, going, okay, the different, because litter robot number 4, the light flashes, sometimes they're slightly different than the previous version. And anyway, artificial intelligence.
It's giving them all sorts of signals as when it's running low with litter, when it's got too much litter. It gives you some sense of how much they're defecating and urinating. And there's also all this data and information that's out there that the client has access to, that we may ask for have access to. But I think fundamentally it's us asking, okay, with this, like, do I change what I do? Right? Does that change how I do the service, or what information do I need to know now to conduct a good, and not just good, but like exceptional visit with this cat?
Right. And in this case, this particular household has 4 cats, 2 litter robots.
Does take up the ratcheting of just the amount of information we have to be equipped with. And I think that's where this does get feeling a bit overwhelming. And that's where some pushback happens of people going, just give me a basic pan, just give me a sifter, or just give me this. I don't want to worry about that. I hate these things. And it is a balance to know, what are you willing to dive into? But understanding, like, this is the trend of things going this direction. So we need to adapt as we can.
Yeah, to adapt as we can, and understand where the client's head is at for these devices. It's part of it is still maintaining that personal relationship with the human equation in our business. That we go through that whole onboarding process, and oftentimes it's we get to the meet and greet, and that might be the only time that they ever see us face to face, is at the meet and greet. And now all of a sudden, the only other time we communicate is because some device at the house isn't working right.
Right.
And all of a sudden, grasping that it's the device isn't working right that they're complaining about, and it's not necessarily the pet care.
Yeah. And not taking that personally, right? And just going, there's something broken. They know you're there. They're asking you to help fix it, and going, okay, I'll do what I can. And not just immediately seeing a litter robot going, oh, I can't stand this. I don't like this. I want to move away. Because it does come with some advantages too, of going, well, now I can check the litter robot, make sure it's working, but now I don't have to spend all that time scooping litter. So what can I do with enrichment or other things with the cats that I would have had to devote back to them and the litter? It also comes with, I don't know if you run into this, Beth, when you're talking about the benefits of your services, because I know when we do, a benefit that we talk about is, daily litter scooping. Every time we come over, we'll make sure that your litter box is spick and span and make sure it gets fully replaced. And, we talk about that. And sometimes people come in and they go, well, I've got a litter robot, so don't worry about that. Do you feel like that diminishes the value of the service, or can we pivot to something else to offer the clients?
You can pivot to offer the client the fact that, oh, that's wonderful, you have a litter robot. How frequently do you need to change the tray? How often do you need to pull the bag under the tray? And you know how to do that.
Ah.
It is that's the pivot to how often does your litter robot break down? Have you ever do you ever need to troubleshoot for your litter robot? What's the most common breakdown you have with your litter robot? If the litter robot is working perfectly fine, then hey, that makes my job a little bit easier, and that means that means that I also get to spend more time with your cat, either playing, petting, or just hanging out with them. Because some cats are like that. They don't want to be pet, they don't want to play, but they just want to know you're there. They want to know that there's a presence there, and sooner or later they will solicit attention. But it may not be that visit; it may be another visit. So,
I think what that does, and I'm glad you talked about that, Beth, of going, okay, you've got a litter robot. Well, now it's my time to show you what I know about litter robots. And we're going to talk about how I can help you with your little litter robot. And we can talk through some problem solving. And what that does is it takes that and makes them realize, oh, right, okay, this person does know what they're talking about. Wow, look at this professional in front of me and all these questions that I didn't think to ask or understand or tell you about. And it really it's another way to just ratchet that reputation up just a little bit more when you're talking to them.
Exactly. It's showing that you're not afraid of the advances in the technology. It's showing that you do have experience with these devices, that you have that knowledge base to recognize maybe this thing isn't working the way it should. That they're not going to come home to a litter robot that is empty of cat litter. It's all in the tray. Because the pet sitter figured, I hit the cycle button and it dumped everything. I don't know if any of your pet sitters have been through that, where there's something, they see something's wrong and then they hit that cycle button and the whole thing completely will empty into the tray.
Yeah.
Well, now what? Now what do I do? Now I have to. Am I going to scoop the bag with the litter scoop?
Yeah.
Am I going to pull the whole bag and put in? And you look around and the client doesn't have any extra litter visible anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, now the cat, that whole host of questions comes up.
And yeah, and I'm thinking there's so many analogies to like when fountains, cat water fountains, right? That's another one where this is a whole other thing where we'd say, one of the benefits that you get from us is you get constant fresh, we'll always refresh the water for your cat. And clients would say, oh, well, don't worry about that. I've got a water fountain. And then we say, well, when was the last time you replaced the filter? Because listeners, no clients ever replace the filter in the water fountain.
Or it's not even so much that they never replace the filter. When's the last time you actually took the pump apart and cleaned it?
Yeah.
Take the cover off, pull the magnetic thing out, go in there and actually clean that part, because that's what's circulating all the
yeah, the junk. Water may be clean, quote unquote, but the parts are all gross, right? So it's what we're doing is it's a reminder that as these technologies come on, they provide an immense amount of benefit to us and the clients and their pets, but they also provide a lot of new opportunities for things to go wrong for us to continue to help out and solve those for the clients when they come up.
Exactly. And you're solving them for the clients, and in the process of solving that for the clients, you're elevating the care for the pets.
Have you heard of Time to Pet? Chris Ann from Raining Cats and Dogs has this to say.
Becoming a Time to Pet client has been a game changer for us. We can give our pet services clients real-time, cloud-based information they never imagined they'd be interested in. And most importantly, to me personally, I can better manage my company and look forward to more. And not a small thing, Time to Pet is responsive to my requests for new features and modifications to existing ones.
If you're looking for new pet sitting software, give Time to Pet a try. Listeners of our show can save 50% off your first 3 months by visiting timetopet.com/confessional. We previously had you on back in, it was almost 3 years ago at this point. It's hard to believe it was that long. But so for those new listeners, episode 132, and I'll have links to everything that we're talking about in the show notes. But for our new listeners, it's been or they haven't gotten to 132 yet. Could you please introduce yourself and talk about all that you do?
Sure. I'm Beth Pasek. I'm the owner of Finicky Cat Sitting and Behavior. I'm also Elite Fear-Free certified as of the beginning of this year. And I'm also the author of Understanding Cat Behavior, book that's available on Amazon. And it's maintained in that probably the upper 10 positions or so on Amazon, is a bestseller in cat training.
So in our previous episode, I know we dove into a lot about the cat behavior and a lot about the book and that writing process. So I really recommend people go back and listen to that and get that book, because it's an amazing resource for cat behavior, and because a lot of us don't have as much exposure to cats, because as we've talked about before, cats were always, and they have been for a while, kind of an also and of, I have a dog. I also have this cat that's in my home, and they'll be over here and they're fine. Don't worry about them. Right. Since we've last spoken, Beth, we've had 3 clients who had a secret cat that they didn't actually disclose to us, that was like living in a basement or like living in a room. And we did the meet and greet. We asked, are there any other pets in your home? And they said, no, everything's fine. And then I walked by a door and I heard a rustling behind this door. And I was like, what?
Interesting.
And I opened the door and there was a cat. And its litter box had a little robot. It had an auto feeder. It had a fountain. And we went, they have a cat that they didn't disclose to us. So, it's still in 2023, these things are happening.
Well, and that's the other thing to think about. They have the cat has all these modern conveniences. 3 days into a visit, what if the feeder hadn't been working?
Right. Yeah. These are the things that a lot of clients don't think about. And it's okay. It's because they don't, when the feeder gets jammed, it's not a big deal to them, because they just, they're in there every day. They just right before they go to work, they take care of it and it's fine. But like, if that's not part of a daily routine, the thing is that taking care of the feeder is part of their daily routine. They just don't think it is. They don't realize that it actually is. And so when they travel, it's not top priority. It's not something that they think is important, but they forget, oh yeah, every third day I do have to go in and jimmy it a little bit and kind of, shake it to get it to work. But because it's not written in piece, it's not as apparent or as a blatant thing in their life, it kind of flows under the radar.
Exactly.
For that, when you're bringing on new clients, I did want to know more about your onboarding process, because that's a part where I feel like our onboarding processes are as much of a science as they are an art as we bring people into our company. So could you walk us through what that process looks like for you?
That process for me really looks like making sure that the client uses technology, which I know for a lot of pet sitters, this is going to sound very off-putting. I'm going to phrase it that way. But I don't take a phone call from a new client until they have gone through the reservation software. So New clients literally can click, sign up, do their pet profiles and everything. After that's all completed, then they will get a welcome letter from me, which is auto-generated. And that welcome letter tells them then to go back into their profile and go ahead and request the meet and greet within a certain time window. Once that happens, then I make my phone call to them and say, hey, I have your information. We talked through a little bit of the pet profile, and I'm just calling to confirm that our meet and greet on such and such a date and time. Then I go to the meet and greet. I print out a sheet that has their pet profile on that. So that way, as we're walking through, I can either be prompted from my notes to ask extra questions that need to be filled out, or as we're walking through that meet and greet, you know that there's always something that comes up during the meet and greet that didn't get put into the profile. I can note that down on the profile, and then when I get back home to the office, I can update the finer details, the finer points of that pet profile. Then before the very first set of visits, I make a second phone call to them and just confirm, has anything changed? You're 3 days away from your trip. Has anything changed? Since with cats, the cat end of the business, we get a lot of cats that are on medications and things like that. And a lot of times they will go to the veterinarian prior to departure dates. And, medication dosages can change and all those kinds of things. Most people will just leave a handwritten note. By making that phone call ahead of time, that new client gets the chance to say, oh, Fluffy was to the vet and we're no longer taking Serenia, but now he's getting gabapentin. Yeah. And as opposed to it coming to me as a note, and I'm thinking I'm going to have to go in and locate the cat, find the cat, do all these things to give, because Serena, you actually have to pill the cat, versus the gabapentin, you can sprinkle it on the food and it's no big deal. So, it helps. The client also gets the impression that we're paying attention, that we're there, we're paying attention, and we're there to be their partner in care and to say, oh, Fluffy's now started prednisolone pills. How are you doing that? What is your process? What is the pet parent's process for pilling the cat? And is it difficult? Is the cat agreeable to it? Has something changed? And that all happens within, that 2 to 3 week window between when we get that meet and greet or that first profile comes in to the very first visit.
Well, and I know, as far as going back there to the beginning of, it sounds like, again, you let people complete all of the information before you make that phone call. I know, was there a reason you decided to allow them to do the profiles as opposed to just like a shortened inquiry form and more back and forth versus having them complete everything up front?
Yes. First of all, being in the position of a solo sitter, to sit and spend, 15, 30 minutes on the phone, walking through, typing in, doing all this like a receptionist would over the phone, this puts the client in the position of completing the profile, because I don't have time to to do this. With every new potential client. this also, if they're going in and completing that profile in the Precise Pet Care system, I have in there the zip codes that I work in. So if somebody wants to do an inquiry and they're outside my service area, the little window pops up and says, "You're outside the service area." I don't have to deal with that phone call. I don't have to deal with their disappointment or whatever. That, the system is automatically doing this for me. Then, the other half of that is that if the client isn't tech savvy enough to be able to complete their profile, they're probably not going to be my client avatar that I'm looking to take care of.
And I know that's a
worded way to say it on a podcast.
It is tough. And I know that we go back and forth with that a lot too, Beth, of going, well, I want to serve XYZ, clientele, but if they are unable to use our software, I have to make so many exceptions to them. I have to break a lot of our policies. I have to break a lot of our procedures to service them. And at the end of the day, like, I can't operate like that. And it is a tough call that many people face when they implement something and they go, oh, that actually means a subset of people who would have used my services before are now no longer, they're unable to do so.
And instead of me having to make that phone call to them and say, I'm sorry, I don't think I'm going to be your pet sitter, it's automatically happening.
Yeah, because there are some days where I going after that a quick intake form for us of like, okay, because right now we have a quick intake form with 6 or 7 questions. That comes to us. We look at it, we review it, and we decide whether we're going to move them on or not. Most of the time, I feel like there are days where most of my phone calls are calling people back and saying, "I'm sorry, I don't service you." And that's never a good feeling, honestly. I try and equip them with referrals and things like that, but it can be very demoralizing when most of my phone calls are telling people we can't we can't help them.
I'm sorry, I don't serve the east side of Cleveland.
Yeah.
And in that respect, if they putting in their zip code into Precise Pet Care, that little window's going to pop up and it's just going to say, I'm sorry, you're outside. It's a very nice, quote, but I'm sorry, you're outside our service area.
Yeah. and then that way, that's a thing that's off of your mind, right? You're not having to sit there and go, oh gosh, I got to find time to schedule a phone call. I got to tell somebody no. I got to hear them be kind of upset, and I got to, it's a big thing, and I'm frustrated by it.
And then I have to see, and I know, here in the Cleveland market, I know a lot of the pet sitting companies that are around, and do I know somebody that I could refer them to or whatever? And then here I am. Okay, it's the east side of Cleveland. I really don't know anybody out there, but you know what? I can look on Google and Pet Sitters International.
Yeah.
But so can the client.
Right.
And I can say, hey, go to Pet Sitters International. But this in retrospect, when leash time crashed and I had to switch over in an emergency situation with them, switching over to Precise Pet Care and just seeing what it was able to do for a small pet sitting company, I was like, okay, it's better. Is it the best? Probably not, but it's better.
Yeah.
And it was I can put in my service area. Holy cow. game changer.
Yeah.
You know,
Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. And you would think, you know, for somebody who's a cat sitter, a cat sitting company, you know, how many phone calls do you actually get? But when you actually do the Google search, cat sitting people Google for cat sitter. They don't Google for pet sitter. They Google for cat sitter. And well, the SEO works.
It's another example of how this technology changes how we operate our business. Of now going, oh, here's an opportunity that I can have with this self-selecting service area. Oh, what could I do now? How do I envision my onboarding process looking like now with this new piece of technology that I can put in here, and kind of re-envisioning what that process looks like.
And that's where I think for a lot of cat sitters and pet sitters, we do this new technology thing, but sometimes I don't think we utilize it as much as we could. There's more opportunity there to streamline things for the onboarding process, to streamline things for the reservation process, to streamline things for the confirmations back, to streamline all of that. You know, that was one of the things that when I started using, even when I started using Leash Time, my clients were always allowed to update their own profiles. My clients were always allowed to do their own reservations. You know, now with Precise Pet Care, you know, I can put into Precise Pet Care, I'm fully booked to this week. So I don't have to, you know, they're going to go in and they're going to try and make a last minute reservation. Now something comes up and says, I'm booked. Yeah. Now something comes up and says, nothing's available. Or this time slot is booked, but they'll say, oh, I can do this one. So instead of me making those phone calls back and forth to resolve that issue, the software is now helping me, is resolving it for me.
Yeah, and you don't have that back and forth with the client. You're not having to sit there on the phone and going, nope, I can't do 2. Nope, I can't do 2:30. Nope, I can't do 2:45. Nope, I can't. You can just have it that I'm going to say this word, and it's not really appropriate, but like almost this conflict resolution is taking place all in the background, and you're completely oblivious to it.
and that when that happens in the background. Now, when you make your weekly phone calls to clients who are leaving in 3 to 5 days, you know, and you're making those phone calls, you're not calling to do a conflict resolution on their booking. Yeah. You're calling to say, how's Fido doing? How's Fluffy doing? And so that whole conversation now becomes one of relationship building versus, oh my God, I got to fix all this stuff now that it's all changed.
Well, because if the only time...
And that's the advantage of letting, for me, that's the advantage of having my clients having access to the software to do what they need to do. I mean, we go to a doctor's office, and what does the doctor's office do? They hand you a clipboard with a bunch of papers on it, and every time you're filling this thing out, and that it's actually, in many ways, I think it's the feedback that I have gotten from new clients is they find it very professional. That they can, you know, they're going in and they make those updates. You know, now if they're going in and trying to make those updates and then they're messing up the profile, which I think a lot of people are afraid of.
Yeah.
You know, that does happen on occasion. I won't lie. It does happen on occasion. Yeah. But I mean, it's actually, if they do it from the very beginning of your onboarding process, they're not going to make a lot of mistakes going forward. They're already familiar with it. It's not like you're having to teach them how to use it. They're teaching themselves.
A lot of pet owners don't know how to react when their beloved pet is facing a bout of anxiety, noise sensitivity, or depression. However, various studies have shown that animals react very positively when calming music is played for them. As a trusted pet sitter, have your clients check out the Peaceful Pet Music, Calm Music for Pets YouTube channel, where they can give their pet the best chance at relaxing while they're away. From peaceful melodies to soothing nature sounds, this YouTube channel is the go-to spot when your client's pet is anxious and you don't know where to turn. Complete with beautiful and vibrant animations, their videos will become your home for the tools needed to keep the client's pet in a state of peacefulness. Be sure to subscribe to Peaceful Pet Music, Calm Music for Pets on YouTube, and hit that bell so you never miss a moment of peace. And that's critical, right? That also self-selects out to a different kind of client avatar. And it makes it such that when you do have those touch points with them, when you are on the phone with them, like you mentioned earlier, that's relationship. Because if all we ever do is call them when there's a problem or message them whenever there's an issue or an emergency, I don't want people I don't want to know, oh, my phone's ringing. It's this one person. They only call me when things are burning down, right? That's never good. So instead to have this cheery, like, hey, confirming we're going to be here at this time that you selected, very importantly, you selected, and we're looking forward to it. Anything change? I take a moment to like really think about how that changes the relationship with you and how your clients would perceive you if that's how you are having that touch point with them.
Exactly. And then it is utilizing the pre-scripted responses in your software. So when you're sending the confirmation out, I have my confirmation goes out with a very cute pre-scripted confirmation kind of thing. Oh, you're leaving on such and such a date, and be sure to do this and this, and get the feel away plugins, and all those little reminders, and if you and and tell whatever pet by name. Mm-hmm. We'll see them on whatever for this round of visits, and if you really like this confirmation, make sure that you tape it up on your bulletin board. So I mean, it's just kind of a quirky, dumb thing, but it's there's times where it's like I'll walk into a client's house and they'll be like, so the radio is playing, or the iPad is playing, or the TV is playing, and it's playing Relax My Cat. And I'm like, I walk in, I'm like, oh, okay, they actually read the confirmation and did it. But I mean, it makes it, it's again, it's still part of the relationship building process.
Yeah.
And that's what also will bring that's what keeps your clients loyal.
Well, and it's using that technology to its fullest, right? Because you have that template that you're sending out in your email. Are you automatically pulling the pet name, client name from your software and throwing it into the template to send out to them?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's very nice.
It's very nice. It's very nice.
And this is because we struggle a lot of times of going, oh, I can't have technology in my business because it's going to be impersonal. It's not going to be a personal connection. And if I got a letter like that with the name of my pet, with recommendations for before they leave, addressed to me 3 days before I left, like how much more personal do you want to get? Like it's and still have time in your day to do things. Like that's a wonderful touch to provide. And it's using that stuff to its fullest to make sure that you are having these really great building blocks of your relationship.
Right. And it's the technology, is automatically doing it, but it's also, it's still, I still feel like it's part of me, because if I didn't have the technology, this is what I would do. And I just happen to have the technology that makes it happen. So
Yeah.
I don't think we're not covering any of these questions yet.
we're not, Beth, but this is all gold. This is, and because I think what a lot of, I don't know, like touching on the technology with the client and the technology in our businesses, because you started off, the very first thing that you mentioned was things have changed so fast and deeply make huge changes and advances. And what the danger comes in is when we resist and we say, well, that's not what I want, or that doesn't fit me, instead of going, how would I use that? And having that curiosity enough to just step forward and go, what could I do? What possibilities does that open up for my business? That it actually stunts us in our ability to connect with more people and build even better relationships than we could have done 10 years ago, even with all the phone calls.
Well, I think, years ago when some of this technology came out, I was very much, I could probably go through my Canva designs and look for it. But at some point, my business, I'm not a tech company. I'm in the people and pet business, and technology is my tool, as opposed to being another app service or whatever. I'm not a tech company. But my tech has to complement relationship building.
I mean, we have that realization too when we talk about, like, oh yeah, we do pet care, right? We do cat sitting visits. We'll do daily dog walks. We'll take care of your fish tank. Also, behind all of that is a wall of technology. There's so much tech. Like when we hire people, we bring them on board. There's so much involved. It's like there's this app, there's this resource, there's this. And then even with clients, it's like, okay, using the software, it is amazing to realize how much of technology that we utilize. And while we're not a tech company, I love how you said that it's our tool to complement the relationships like that. When we focus it in that way, it becomes really powerful in how we connect with people and provide that care. Here's what I'd like to end with, Beth, is when we talk about the use of our technology in our companies, how we can build that relationship with the pet parents, how we can run a company that we'd want to. At the end of the day, we're still going to be in a visit doing pet care. I would like to know from you about what are ways that we as sitters coming into homes, how can we make those visits more fear-free, more comfortable and relaxing, and bond with the cats that we're taking care of them? Because as you mentioned, the technology helps. It's a tool, but I still have a relationship. I still have an animal, a pet that I have to care for. So help us understand how we can go about making that visit the best possible with them.
To make that visit the best possible, can I talk? I can't talk. I'm done. But to make that visit the best possible, especially when you're walking into a household of cats, is to remember to walk in softly. Don't walk in talking on your cell phone. Most of us are going to be, we walk around and we're talking on the cell phones, most likely on a speakerphone, or we've got the AirPods in, and we don't realize when we're on a cell phone that oftentimes we are actually talking louder than we normally would. So don't walk into the house, yammering away on the cell phone.
Yeah.
don't walk in like you own the place. Cats are territorial. So, walk in soft, recognize this is their home. Okay. Don't, it's, I did it today. I made a mistake today. And, I walked in and wasn't on my phone, got upstairs. Ginger was meowing, happy and everything, and rolling around on the carpet, all happy to see me. And I did the wrong thing. I stood over her. Don't do it. Don't stand over her, over a cat. Again, they're both predator and prey. You standing over the cat, looming over the cat, just like when and same thing with the dog. You're looming over the dog. They don't like it. It triggers fear. Give them the room that they need, and especially with the cat, be sure, even if you know the cat and have visited a couple of times, is put your finger up and ask to their nose and ask for that. That's consent. Do I have your consent to pet you? And if you do, the cat's going to give you a big old cheek rub. and if not, the cat will walk away. And if the cat walks away, don't go reaching for the cat, because that you're now triggering the fear response. So start out that visit on the right paw and with the cats, and come in soft. Don't stand over them if you can help it. I know sometimes they're going to be twirling between your legs, but that's not the same thing as looming over them. And, get their consent to be petted. Not every cat is going, there's those cats you're going to reach down and they're going to be like, no, swat. And you didn't ask consent. Ask the consent. Start, we say with dogs, put your hand down and out where they can sniff it. Well, with cats, is put that finger forward and wait. And if they want to pet, they will give you consent to be touched.
It's a fantastic. I'm glad you have made the connection to the dog part, because that's something that's almost, I'm going to say, instinctual in us. I know it's not; it's just a learned behavior. But we all reach our hand down and see what that dog's going to do. We see how they're going to react, or see what's going on. With cats, I think 95% of us just walk up and start pawing away at them, and we don't get that. And then all of a sudden, that relationship that's off to a bad start, right? We've got the fear levels are up, and we've got to try and recover from that.
Yeah. And if you need to do anything further beyond with the cat, such as medications or whatever, you've already set the stage for that to be a little more difficult than maybe it needed to be. So if you come in and you come in soft and quiet and give that cat the chance to give you consent, that they trust you because they're coming from that prey location and there's a stranger in my house. So, give them that room, give them that time to make that decision.
How do we appropriately recover from that and reset the stage? If we come in, we do loom over them, or we do reach out and they dart. Is there a way for us to, or how do we go about, fixing that relationship and resetting that back to, a better position with them?
In those cases, it would be, go about, do what you need to do, the food, the water, pick in the litter robot. See where they've, if they darted off and went under the bed, leave them there. But then go ahead and set up their environment, set them up with music, set them up with, if the owners haven't done it, I've taken to carrying a feel away plug-in, and I'll plug it in in the living room or whatever.
Mhm.
And just set that environmental stage, and then go ahead and leave, or sit down on the sofa and see if maybe they will come back out for you. Some sitters will go ahead and sit down like on the bedroom floor. And if the cat darted away from you at that beginning, because you made the mistake, they're probably not going to come out.
Yeah.
But if you give them the room, they may still, they're playing music, kind of thing. Or your other option to recover from that would potentially to be use a wand toy and see if they will come out to play, or to use the laser pointer to see if they will come out to play. And maybe, that initial contact, they were frightened, but where is that fear, anxiety, and stress level? Are they under the bed hissing at you? Or are they just under the bed waiting for you to leave?
Mm.
If they're under the bed waiting for you to leave, you might get away with tempting them out with play and treats, softer music, and just remembering that some of us have slower movements, and some people have those very fast, jerky movements. And that's just a personality thing. That's just who they are. And if you happen to be one of those people who is working with a cat where you've inadvertently didn't mean to frighten the cat and raise their stress level, consider thinking, okay, I need to take a deep breath, slow it down, and, just give the cat time, which most pet sitters have a hard time doing that, because all of a sudden they feel like, I'm sitting here doing nothing. And well, actually, you're sitting there doing something very important. You're letting the cat know they're safe and they can trust you. So relax. As we often say with the dogs, your anxiety level goes down that leash. Your anxiety level about the cat, they can feel it. They can sense it. They can detect it. We all know that. So if we can just, okay, I'm going to sit down and relax. I wanted that 15-minute break today. Just chill. If Fluffy decides to poke their nose around the corner, maybe have some few extra kitty treats to toss their direction. There's a number of things you can try. It all depends on the cat and what that fear, anxiety, and stress level is.
At the end of the day, it's focusing on them, right? It's reading them and knowing that there are appropriate and inappropriate things that we can do in that moment, and being okay with, at the end, going, maybe the most appropriate thing I can do is sit here quietly for the next 15 minutes. And it's going to be aggravating. It can be frustrating to us because we have so much to do, and and I'm angry that I messed up and I've got to do this thing. But knowing, not only is it good for us to take that 15 minutes in our day and just breathe, right? That's very nice, but also for that cat, and that's the best thing that we can do at that moment.
Exactly. Is that you're communicating to the cat that you're not the threat that the cat thinks you are.
Beth, I really want to thank you for joining us on the show today and diving into the topic of tech and pet care and using it appropriately, and also helping and being a guiding force in pet parents, and knowing that that's a responsibility that we get to take on. But at the end of the day, knowing that the pets are our purpose and our reason being there, and the technologies should be there to highlight the care and foster those relationships. I've absolutely loved our conversation, Beth. And for those who want to get connected with you, pick your brain on other stuff, or get your book, how best can they do that?
They can reach out to me at Beth at Finicky.us. That's my email. Or they can, of course, always hit the website. There's a little chat bot there now that they can let me know. They can find me on Facebook at Liz Pasek. They want to connect with me personally on Facebook. And if they're really curious, they can always check out the very boring channel, Finicky Cat channel on YouTube.
It's great.
Where I'm actually trying, not very well, to do some videos and for both pet parents and over in the podcast on YouTube for Cat Sitter Corner.
It's a lot of good resources there, and I'll have links to those in our show notes so people can get connected right to you with your website on YouTube and your book as well, Understanding Cat Behavior, available on Amazon, and they can read more about it on your website too. So, Beth, I'm so glad we got to connect today and dive into all this stuff and just kind of and pick away at it. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to need to have you back on a lot sooner than 3 years, because I got a lot more questions I need to ask you.
Well, I apologize. I mean, I kind of took over the interview here. We went down a whole other road.
I am here for it every step of the way. Believe me. It was very much needed to discuss. I can tell that you've been thinking about that stuff and kind of how it impacts your business and how, the not the corner that we're being backed into, but the kind of the opportunities that are there for us to take advantage of.
I could tell some of your reactions to what I was saying. You were kind of like, "Oh, never thought about it that way." Yeah. And and especially for those of us that are solo sitters, use your tech, but keep it friendly, keep it connected.
How do you see yourself using technology to better care for your clients and serve their pets in the years to come? Everything from educating on the proper utilization of those technologies as litter genies, water fountains, and automatic feeders, or who knows what else is coming down the line, to implementing them in your own business as a way to heighten the level and quality of care that you can give. That takes creativity and intentionality. We want to thank today's sponsors, Time to Pet, and the Peaceful Pet Music, Calm Music for Pets YouTube channel. And we really want to thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll be back again soon.